Okie dokie. Welcome back to Comic Book History. This is episode 53, and this I'm discussing pretty much, from what I've heard anyways, about this particular woman, this character. This was, in fact, Steve Ditko's his last major creation he ever did for comic books. Yep, the last one he ever did. Why? I don't know why. He was slowing down years. This is I'm talking about Squirrel Girl. Yep, a character who was a lot more popular than Speedball. Made a first appearance in Marvel Superheroes Volume 2, Issue 13. Yeah, which is short stories. She was a completely different outfit than she wears nowadays. Yeah, where she shows up, meets Iron Man, and says, "Hey, I beat my first villain." It's like, okay, that's cool. Who'd you beat? And she says, Dr. Doom. He's like, what? You beat Doom? Yep, and that's kind of what started her unbeatable streak, where she basically beat up shot a bunch of squirrels at him. And she's also beating the freaking Juggernaut. Because she was quite young. It's like, okay, you can be a superhero, but wait till a little bit older to continue this. It's like, okay. So her appearances for the next 20 years were mostly put sporadic up until 2010. From 1993 until 2010, her appearance is very sporadic. She appeared next, I think, in like pages of JLA, a few one-shots here and there, not doing a lot per se. And then Bendis decided to make her a supporting character in the New Avengers series by essentially having Luke Cage and his wife, Jessica Jones, hire her to be the nanny. Yes, Squirrel Girl. Also, there's this joke in here when she runs Wolverine prior to this, where it's very heavily implied, and heck, readers know about this, it is very implied that at one point Wolverine had sex with Squirrel Girl. When? No idea. And it's something they don't want to discuss, and yet this is actually mentioned in the pages of Wolverine, where one of the girls basically he wants is Squirrel Girl. Well, why not? Squirrel Girl's hot. Yep. And after the conclusion of the volume in 2013, yeah, if you want to read basically what she was up to, most of what she was watching Danielle Cage, the most interesting thing she did throughout that entire era was running a bunch of Nazi robots, also being saved by frickin' Daredevil, which also caused them to be part of the team. Though Squirrel Girl was considered part of the New Avengers, well, not yet anyway, not for a couple more years. And once the fun concluded, she didn't do anything. Not for about a couple years. Yeah, she didn't do anything I could think of. No, not that I could think of. And then in 2015, something interesting happened. Squirrel Girl was given her own ongoing series. Yes, her own ongoing series. But I'm thinking, Squirrel Girl got an ongoing series in 2015? Yes. Also, she later on in the... I'll talk a little bit about that. Yes, lasting initially for 8 issues. And then, okay. Then after 8 issues, it got restarted number 1. Why? Because Marvel loves number 1s. Yep. And then, with the relaunch, after the conclusion of the first story. Now, the thing is, basically, in this book, she had her own supporting cast in the book. She necessarily didn't have a love interest I could think of. The only one I can think of who may have had a thing for her in the book is, of all people, Kraven the Hunter. Yes, implied that Kraven the Hunter, a guy who's could be her whose owner to be her father, is implied to have a thing for her. Yep, because she goes around and she basically also suggested he goes hunting monsters of myth. Yep, and she also had a crossover with Howard the Duck of all people. Yes, Squirrel Girl had a crossover with Howard the Duck. Why in the world he decided to do this? No idea. That's the simple gist of it. Yep. Also, in case you're curious, though, there was this thing in 2017, a couple years after the start of the book, where you were wondering, with all the stuff invading the Secret Empire, where is Squirrel Girl? Hiding in the Savage Land because she doesn't really freaking care. Yep. And her ongoing series lasted for 50 issues. Also had a one-shot called, I think it's Squirrel Girl Saves Marvel Universe, I think it is. And she's also part of the New Avengers roster by Al Ewing in 2015. Yep. A book that actually got criticism for its artwork. Yes, I had no problem with the artwork. there's a group of people basically that I followed where they actually didn't like the artwork at all. They thought the artwork was terrible. I didn't have a problem with it. Squirrel Girl was interesting in this book, and oddly enough, her supporting cast didn't make a guest star appearance. I'm like, really? You feature Squirrel Girl, but not her supporting cast? I thought that was kind of weird. This was technically the first time she joined a team aside from the Great Lake Avengers. Yeah, she was briefly part of that team. Heck, she was even offered to join the reform version, but she declined because she was busy doing other things. So, then basically by the end of volume 1, then after 18 issues, the New Avengers book that she was featured in ended, and it was relaunched as U.S. Avengers. Was she featured in this book? Yes, she was. And she featured the book up until the series conclusion with issue 12. Yes, which involved basically rescuing Cannonball from a Archie version of basically a Skrull Prince who thinks he's Archie from Archie comics and having his own version of Riverdale. Yep. And on book, she just did various things. Also interactions with Hellcat and other superheroes. Oddly enough, if you're curious though, does she ever do any team-ups with Spider-Man? Yes. Once. The entire book. I'm like, really? The whole time this character's been around and they've only gone on an adventure together once. Okay, perfectly fine. Whatever. And then at issue 50, the series ended. Yep, it ended. If you want to know exactly what happened in the book, you have to read it. It's particularly by far one of the most interesting books I've read. Though the artist of the book has been called on Twitter for the laziness in the artwork. Oh yes. The artist has been called on that several times throughout this run. Yep. Trying to think there was anything else. If you're curious, so did the series have an annual? Nope. Did the book tie into any crossovers? Shockingly, no. It never did. Throughout the whole time it existed. Also, apparently, by the final issue of the series, Squirrel Girl apparently died in the final issue, which, that's weird. Yes. So, if you're curious to what Squirrel Girl's powers are, she can talk to squirrels. And she's got a very interesting attire, though at one point her tail, that's part of her costume, was able to put part of her costume initially. And then it was later changed, oh yeah, the tail was part of her body. For some reason. Also, the squirrel she talks the most is Tippy Toe. Also, and here's something interesting, I should bring this up. She made a brief guest appearance in All New Wolverine, where she introduced basically Laura to basically her pet, one of her nearly a supporting character in the old Wolverine book, a Wolverine named Jonathan. Yep, that was kind of fun because about rescuing the animals type of thing. Oh yeah, she also basically had team up with Deadpool, and this I thought was really weird. They apparently made a clone of her and Deadpool, where it implied this creature was actually their child, which are like, really? Squirrel Girl and Deadpool. Okay, two characters have been around basically around the same period of time, so why not? Okay, whatever. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, she also wants some kind of haunted house type of thing, deal with arcade. Oh, and she also revealed her real name to Kraven the Hunter, who apparently knew the whole time. Okay. And they never showed her reaction to Kraven's death because by the time her book ended, actually I think it was just last year, the book ended, where she never had a reaction because Kraven actually appeared in the book, which, really? Why the heck would you have him appear in the book prior to Hunted? It makes no fucking sense at all. Yeah, a lot about Squirrel Girl makes no sense. Yeah, but she hasn't really done anything at all, but that's all I gotta say about Squirrel Girl. Basically, a lot of our development mostly has been handled in New Avengers and in her own solo title. She also has dealt with time traveling, battling Doctor Doom frequently in her own book. Yeah, because she beat Doctor Doom in her first appearance. He occasionally popped up in the book as a recurring character. I'm like, really? So, along with Kraven the Hunter, we also have Doctor Doom pop up in here too. Okay, fine, whatever. And, well, not much else to say about Squirrel Girl. She's a fun character. I only read her book because basically I'm a fan of her creator, Steve Ditko. But there's not really a lot else to say about Squirrel Girl. But that's all it for, basically, for major Marvel characters that Steve Ditko created. Because if you're curious, though, why did I ever discuss Spider? Like, am I planning to discuss Spider-Man? Well, here's the thing. People have talked to death about Spider-Man for decades. So, I'm not going to discuss Spider-Man. I mean, on this series anyways. I will discuss his trades. But the thing is, Spider-Man's history is so freaking long. And there's like way too much stuff to talk about for him. Yes, I discussed one of his ongoing series as one of my first episodes for this series. Yes, the Web of Spider-Man series. I mean, there's potential to do like a whole boatload of videos on the character, but he may be my favorite superhero, but he's not somebody I would basically jump out and basically say, hey, like, go check out Spider-Man. Thing is, people read Spider-Man. People reading him for decades. I mean, I've been reading him for the past, like... Yeah. But not much else to say when it comes to Squirrel Girl. So, since I'm done with all DC, all Marvel stuff, I decided, basically, so... I'm going to ship to Charlton for the next few episodes. And the first character I want to talk about, even though this character is technically Lingard, talk about him in his Blue Sky retrospective, I will be discussing one of Steve Ditko's most popular characters he introduced when he worked at Charlton, the Tech Cord Blue Beetle. And yes, I will be showing off also my book that I actually own that collects the original ongoing series from the 80s. Yep, I'll be discussing him, Captain Atom, and Nightshade and the Question. The Nightshade won't be a lot of talk. I'll probably integrate her with Captain Atom. Mostly, it'll be just Tech or Blue Beetle, The Question, Captain Atom, and that's it. I can think of for Charlton. He didn't create that many. But as DC characters, there's a small handful he created. I will be discussing those in a later video, okay? See you next video. Bye.